If someone started a stand-up comedy show, you'd have so much content for women coming out of perimenopause and menopause. The stories that women have in their perimenopause and menopausal years are seriously funny.
A woman at this time may land up with many different types of doctors. The orthopedic surgeon for their bone pains and joint pains, the cardiologist for their palpitations, the neurologist for certain kinds of headaches. And really, it's all down to the perimenopause. And sometimes I must say here that you need to go with your preparation, because trust me, the caregiver might see it from their perspective and might not always connect all the dots. So you really need to take this, kind of this dotted puzzle, numbered puzzle to him and say, and ask that pointed question. Could these be symptoms of perimenopause? And that might trigger something.
I feel one area that doesn't get talked much about is pelvic health. And women neglect it. We neglect it in our 20s, in our 30s, and we only pay attention to it in our perimenopause when we start maybe leaking urine, maybe having a bulge in our tummy. We are not being able to understand it comes from the weakening of the core muscles of the body. We have not paid attention to it. And there are many forms of exercise like yoga and Pilates which bring special attention to the core and make you engage that pelvic floor.
Again, whether there's childbirth or no childbirth, at some point in time, these muscles, which are incidentally also loaded with estrogen receptors, and low levels of estrogen will compromise their health even more, will start creating issues. My mother went through it, my grandmother went through it, they never said anything, so I have to do the same. And there must be something that I just have to live with and suffer. I have to live with my vaginal dryness, I have to live with my skin, I have to live with my incontinence, I have to live with the fact that I don't feel or enjoy sex anymore. And that's a big, big myth, because you don't need to do that. There is no two women who will menopause the same, which is why you have to individualize how you look after yourself and how doctors look after you, because you are unique. Nothing can be further from the truth. The new term for HRT is MHT, menopause hormone therapy. That's what we used in the book. And MHT, when it is needed and indicated, and you see in each chapter we spoke about lifestyle, diet, and then medical therapy, is a game changer. It's a game changer because it protects you from those most significant symptoms when you need the protection. Yes, no longer do we recommend what the West did, say 2 decades ago, which is give all women HRT, which was ridiculous, because you can never do, just as every woman is unique with menopause, every woman cannot be given the same drug without adequate thought and understanding and planning.
You get a second birth in menopause because you're done with all your responsibilities. Your kids have left the house if you have them. You've got your life back. Your husband and you are in a perfect groove now. By now, I hope so. And single women have done their stuff. They've been through those relationships which didn't serve them, and they are at a point in their lives when they can actually birth. It's like your second creativity. This is what I feel, and this is what's happened for me.
So the changes could be physical changes, hormonal changes, and emotional changes. As far as the physical changes are concerned, this is when, because of the estrogen levels going down, you tend to have more vaginal dryness. There's something called as vaginal atrophy, which means the vaginal wall becomes extremely thin, which makes sex uncomfortable. You don't lubricate as much as you did earlier, which makes sex a little painful. And then there are these signals going to the brain saying, this is going to be painful for you. So the brain sends signals, which means less lubrication. So this is a problem you start off with. This is completely manageable. There is local estrogens that we can use around and after menopause. Of course, the hormone therapy will also help. These are completely safe, and these can be taken for a very, very long time. Couple these with lubricants, and there is no embarrassment in using lubricants. Sometimes the partner may feel, my God, does this mean I don't make you lubricate? No, it's nothing to do with you. It's just the fact that your body has changed and you need a little more lubrication. It's common sense that if you lubricate, there's less friction. If there's less friction, there's less burning. If there's less burning, there's less soreness. And if that's not there, the next time around, you look forward to it rather than trying to avoid it.
One thing you can do during your perimenopause and menopause is keep exercising. No matter what. Even if your scale doesn't shift, keep exercising and keep eating right, because that's the only thing that will see you through. And this is a promise, because if you do that consistently, at some point the scales will tip. At some point you'll see some cooperation from the body. But the idea is to be relentless.
This is a research from a very, very famous university in the West. I was so impressed that it says women in the 50s and 60s, 50% of them were still sexually active. And not all sexual activity is just what we consider as traditional sex. There's also self-satisfaction. When you went to the 70 pluses, 30% was still indulging in some form of sexual activity. And I think that's great. That's an inspiration, and life doesn't have to end when you cross into perimenopause and menopause. It can be just as great for many, many years thereafter. But it's important that this is the time when everyone in the family, in their healthcare providers, in society, has to step up and look after this person who's looked after everyone for just so long.